Alright, time to talk a little bit about prepping these aluminum wheels for paint. Obviously our Marty Robbins car doesn't have chrome wheels on it. And with these CB Design wheels, you know, they're very, very finely done. And they're pretty slick. And sometimes it's hard to get paint to stick to a wheel for a prolonged period of time, no matter what you do, it seems. With colors like black, you can use India ink as a stain, and that really helps preserve the color. But sometimes, no matter what you do, you're just going to have to go back and touch it up here from time to time. But I just find that 91% alcohol, just any old brand of alcohol there, 91%, and I'll put the wheel in there. I can leave it in there for about 5 minutes or so, and then just using a good old toothbrush, just you know, give it a good scrub, good clean all the way around, and that's about it. And then I can just turn it over and just do the other side. Now you might ask, why do I have these mounted on an axle? Well, for a couple of reasons. One reason is that sometimes I'm pretty famous for being forgetful about my set screws, and I can loosen them too much when I take them off the axle, and then I'll drop them into a container, and now I have to dig out the set screw, and you know how tiny they are. I don't like doing it. But the other main reason is that once I clean these like this, and I'm getting all the oils and everything off of it, the last thing that I want to do is handle it with my fingers again, and putting oils right back from where I cleaned it. So, and then also whenever I paint, I'm going to be putting it in my paint stand, and this will hold it pretty well in the paint stand, and then I can get the paint on there on each side as I take my time. But everybody's got their different method. I just think that 91% and a little scrub brush is just about the best way you can to prepare the surface. I've just went ahead and gave it a little bit of gray primer, not a whole lot. That just seemed to be the best. So this has been drying for about a half an hour, and now I'm going to give it a shot of yellow. As far as paint matching goes, a lot of people can go through paint codes and stuff and try to exact match. I'm just not that guy most times. I got a simple little piece of plastic. I use different primer colors just to see how it affects the paint. I took the wheel set with me to the hobby shop and hardware store, and I came up with these two. The first time I really thought that this one, the Rust-Oleum, was going to be the one, and I painted the wheels. I didn't like it. It was too of a mustard color, a little dark. So then I picked up some of this Sunshine Yellow and from Ace Hardware, and that came out pretty good. As a matter of fact, I'll show you here, it came out better than the original. Alright, so I've already painted these, but I just wanted to show you my method. It is time consuming, but as you can see, I do one wheel at a time, so I have it like this. And the reason I do that is that no matter what you do, the paint is going to try to pool, and if you have it on its side, it can drip out if you get too heavy-handed. So I always just go from the tops. Now that wheel right there, that's 4 dustings, 4 coats in about half-hour intervals, and it came out pretty good. And then I flip it around and do the other one. Like I said, it's time consuming, but it seems to give the best even coat, you know, at least from my eyes. So something that you may not think is a big deal, some people don't, but when you do these wheels like this and you build that paint on them as you spray, you can get a little bit of paint buildup right here on the rib right there. And that can affect the way the tire sits on the wheel. So what I like to do, as you can see here, is I just take an X-Acto blade and I bring it right here on the edge and hold it right there on the edge, and then I just kind of turn the wheel, okay, and I make a slice there where the excess paint is, and then you can bring your blade in and then you can just scrape that away. So you just kind of scrape it very carefully. You can see it come right off. And then you have a clean edge, clean area there for your tire to fit the wheel. So checking the colors, I have to say that Sunshine Yellow, that actually matches the paint on this car better than the stock wheel set. You see? So I'm really pleased with that. So like I said, I gave them about 3 to 4 dustings, and I also painted the front stock wheels so they all match. And I have to say, I'm pretty satisfied. Okay, so I mounted the tire to the wheel, got it here on the razor, got it trued up, used 1000 grit. Looks pretty good. You can see a lot of material I took away, but not too much, just truing. Now I'll do the other one. Alright, so now I have them installed in the car. A couple other things I've done. First of all, we talked about the motor that was moving back and forth, that was loose. Well, we don't have that issue anymore. I glued that in place. Now, I like to use my UV glue for that. You could use E6000, shoe goo. Just don't use super glue. Just something that isn't permanent, because never say never. So you want to be able to get it out easy enough, and the UV glue does the trick, but it's really strong. So I got everything set up in here. I haven't put the guide in yet. We'll get to that later on. Well, you saw that in the first series, but we'll get that installed. But right now, after sanding the tires, I'm just doing my little tire test, making sure, press down on each corner, make sure you don't have any lift. Everything's looking good. You can also notice here that I've added the black dots like the original had, and then I used my toothpick trick with some basic acrylic white and put my little markings here. No, they don't last, but for the time being they look pretty good. So anyway, now we can drop the body on here. Like I said, I think that paint really matches the car very well. As you can see here, I'll move this to the side there. I think they're pretty close. I mean, there's the original and everything, so that's close enough for me. And actually, like I said, I think this paint actually matches the paint on the car a little bit better. So anyway, we're almost done. We'll talk about some exhaust. We're going to do the guide, and then it's a road test. So you'll likely want to put your exhaust back on. You know, the cars did have it. The problem is that when we sanded or radiused our chassis, we pretty much took the outer mount here almost completely away. So there's not a lot to bite to. So what I like to do is I'll turn the car up like this, and then using UV glue again from the back side, I put it here, and I kind of hold the chassis up and let it flow down, and then it gets underneath there like that, and then I just give it a zap, you know, on each side, about 10 seconds, maybe a little bit more depending on how thick you put it, and it's there. So now that it's there, though, we have our issue. Is now when you put your body on, and you're going to get it here, you'll notice, see, it's pivoting. You're going to have to notch that. And the best way to do that is to get the body lined up like this, and then you can take a Sharpie and you can make a mark here and here so you know where to sand. And the easiest way to mark it to make sure you're accurate is you get your chassis on here, you line it up, you see where the holes are in your chassis there, you got everything lined up. Now you can see from the bottom, and now you can just take your Sharpie and you can just make a little mark there, and then one on the other side. Okay, and then we'll go over here, down here, and we'll do the same thing. And now we pretty much know exactly where we need to make our sanding mark. So let's get to it. Okay, so we've made our mark, and I've done this side, and I'll show you, the easiest way, at least to me. But you always test fit as you go. But as you can see on this side right here, I pretty much have it right where I want it to be. Now, you'll notice that when we did that, when we made our marks, you see the little angle? Well, it's because the exhaust is at an angle. My favorite tool, again, is a Dremel with this medium-sized bit. And you keep it in line like that. Okay? And you keep it at that angle. And you bring it down just a little bit. You keep going. Then I'll stop. I'll clean the flash away. And good old-fashioned X-Acto blade. Clean that out. And then what happens is, as you go, you will test fit. And you will see how much more material you need to take away. You notice, see, it's still rubbing here. But then over here on the other side, as I test fit, we're nice and clear. Now, I'll bring that down a little bit more, and then you can use your X-Acto blade to fine-tune that, you know, to scrape it out, to get more material away. You can use a round file. If you're more comfortable with using that, you can. You know, anything that you're comfortable with. But like I said, as you go, you just test fit. You know, just keep going on there until you get it where it's free and clear. And there you have it. No more pivot. It's nice and clear. Turn it over. You're just checking to make sure it's not rubbing anything, but we are good to go. You'll notice, see, now we have our float back. Nothing's interfering. So that is the lowdown on lowering. Now, you know, like I said, we're going to get our guide in place. And now that we know that we have all the clearance and everything, now you can glue your interior back in place, which again, I use UV glue. You can use model glue, anything you're comfortable with, and get that glued back in place. And like I said, we're going to get the guide in here that we covered in the first series. We're going to get our new guide in place, and then it is road test time. And I'm going to do what everybody wants. They want a comparison of old to this one, original to this one. I can tell you, it really is no contest, but we'll go ahead and do it. But I promise you, this is faster.